Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor. BYU, Houston, already good at football, basketball, like two pretty solid universities. The Big 12, Brett Yormark just announced, is doling out $558 million for the 2024-2025 athletic season. And BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, they're only getting $19 million of that. Utah's getting a full share. Colorado's getting a full share. The Pac-12 schools will get a full share that are doing this conference. The teams like BYU and Houston that are already good at revenue sports are doing this without as much money as the rest of the conference. And next year, when they get $32 million like everybody else, $13 more million per year, I don't think we've even seen those schools scratch the surface of what they can be as Power 4 opponents.
It's crazy. I mean, crazy, first off, that Utah had the worst year of any athletic program in the conference and had a full share. Yeah. It's also crazy that payout is $90 million more than the last year of UT and OU. Yeah. And I know there's more teams, obviously, in the Big 12, but we saw all those fans saying, there's no way you're ever going to make – and I know UT and OU are making a ton of money too, but we're doing pretty well here with that payout. But to the ultimate point here about schools like BYU and Houston, I think are the two that are worth highlighting here. Houston's already like running amok in this conference in basketball. Like they're making us look like mincemeat. BYU is kind of a sleeping giant in basketball. And dare I say, the Houston Cougars are something of a sleeping giant in football. Whoa. Defense was elite last year. Their offense was like a couple of monkeys trying to hump a football, and so it was awful. But their defense was pretty elite. I think we all agree.
They brought in elite quarterback Connor Wegman to fix that.
Yes, so I've heard. Maybe the best quarterback in the Big 12, some have said. And I think we all agree they have a pretty dang good coach in Willie Fritz, too, who's gonna be there a while. You know, he's in his 60s. I don't think he's like making another big jump anytime soon. And so I think Houston, with that kind of extra revenue coming in with the seeds they've already planted, could make them a legit team in the Big 12. I'm not going to go out there and say they're going to be a powerhouse. They're going to be, you know, Oklahoma in the 2010s or anything like that. But I think that can really change the game. And I think it will do the same for UCF under a more competent head coach at UCF anyway, and that's Scott Frost. And it is amazing what the parity in this conference without us even hitting the full revenue hit yet. I think you could say the same about SMU and the ACC. Of course, they won't see that money till I'm dead, I think. But yeah, it is crazy. Like you look at the programs, the athletic programs that fell flat this year, Utah, Oklahoma State. I mean, you know, Baylor basketball wasn't what they were in the past. TCU, I don't think really hit expectations in any of their three major sports. And so to think that here's BYU and Houston already making names, especially on the basketball court, and they haven't even hit their money yet. Like BYU is paying guys millions and millions of dollars to come play basketball for them, and they haven't even hit the money in this conference yet. And what will be a pretty good money-making conference in basketball. It's insane, man. Are those like the sleeping powers that we thought we got rid of with UT and OU?
I mean, it's hard to liken anyone to UT and OU because not just because of historic success, but because of assholery. I don't know if we have that degree.
I don't think BYU quite equals that. I don't think so.
No, we don't have Boomer Sooner. We don't have the song on 2nd and 6. There's nothing to
miss it.
Nothing equates to that. We don't have, you know, the horns up at every opportunity, and the second you do horns down, jail, right to jail. Nobody is that strict about their traditions, so I wouldn't liken them to those two schools. And I would hope that we all are still able to rally around kind of Utah as the villain. I don't mind that. I know I've mentioned before, I think Utah is the most important fan base, most important, arguably, athletic department when it comes to building ticket sales, building rivalries, building eyeballs, because people want to hate them. And if that's the case, it's good ultimately for the Big 12. My biggest takeaway from this, and I looped Houston in here, you have to, because they went to the national championship in revenue sport, probably should have won it. But BYU is about to get $13 million more next year. Who signed off on this? Like, if you want to avoid a monopoly on just a school being good in the Big 12, who signed off on giving them $13 million more a year when they're already throwing around money? That is a recipe for creating a powerhouse.
Yeah, I think the basketball program might be like, you know what, Kalani, why don't you keep that?
Yeah.
We've already got that coming in. Why don't you guys keep that? You're really close to something in football. Why don't we both spread the love pretty equally here? It is crazy. And I will say, like, this is for BYU really in their whole history. They've had a lot of challenges to being a really good athletic program. Most of them, I would say they would agree are self-imposed, right? I mean, they were independent for so long, and they have a real religious affiliation, which we can both tell from Baylor that's a hurdle. It's something that you live with because that's what your creed is, right? But it is a hurdle. And BYU has been able to build an incredible athletic program where you can't even drink. You can't even drink coffee on the campus, and they have made a great athletic program out of that and a terrific fan base out of it. And now you're just going to give them more and more money. Like, that is kind of scary for the rest of us, man. I don't mean to keep pumping BYU's tires here, but that is pretty scary for the rest of the conference when it comes to the two biggest sports, right? Football and men's basketball.
Well, doesn't it just seem like the four schools were not set up to fail their first couple of years, but they certainly weren't set up to be a Power Four caliber athletic department across the board, all four of them. Any success is kind of gravy at that point when you're making 2/3 of what everybody else is getting.
Yeah, and I think you would hear that from the UCF and Cincinnati athletic departments right now. Like, of course they want to be competitive, but when you're entering a conference with the big boys for the first time really ever. I know the Big East used to be obviously huge and a lot bigger in basketball, which is what Cincinnati was in. But you're entering the major college football territory for really the first time ever. It's going to take a little bit. Like that is a long game kind of commitment of it might be 5 or 6 years before we really get into this thing. And I think they're okay to live with that because now what, year 3, the money is going to start coming in. And when you have a place like, obviously Ohio is a pretty great hotbed for football. Florida, I don't know if you've heard this, Drake, pretty good hotbed for amateur athletics. So they are going to be competing sometime soon if they don't completely mess it up, right? But yeah, it's a long game. It's a long game that you're playing. You know that this was just getting a seat at the table, but you're not exactly getting the best meal as everybody else is. But the stakes are going to be pretty good here pretty soon. Coming up,
Jake Retzlaff update that is not, I think we're further solidifying. We're there. No Jake Retzlaff this fall. Locked on Big 12. Locked on Baylor.